October 17th, 2023 at 7:03 p.m. Will you join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was waiting for Rita.
All right, let's review the housekeeping items as always. Board, when speaking, please move close to your microphone. Ensure you are heard clearly for the YouTube streaming, and I request that citizens who speak to adjust the height and stand close to their microphone. There will be 2 opportunities for citizen comments. I will be requesting individuals stay within the 4 minutes in both citizen comment sections and would appreciate everyone keeping their points concise. I would request that comments are made respectfully to the board. We're here to discuss the township's business. Citizen comments should pertain to specific issues, concerns, or policies they would like to bring to the board's attention. To respect everyone's time, I strongly urge the board not to respond to public comments, but address them in the board comments section. Sometimes this is difficult, but this is not a debating stage between the citizens and board members. We have township business to conduct, and it is required that we do so effectively. If there needs to be a follow-up from the board, I will direct the appropriate person to reach out to that individual. The documents on the website and in the back are aligned to the items on the agenda. These are draft documents to provide background information only. Just to be clear, motions were drafted to help the board more quickly get to the final wording and vote on the respective motions. The final motion may look different to reflect the actual action taken by the board. And with that, board, first item is we have 1 set of minutes, which is last month's regular board meeting. Are there any comments or changes? Sharon?
I don't have any.
No.
No? All right. I have none. Kathy?
No, sir.
All right. I will make the motion to approve the September 19th, 2023 regular board meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Alan. It is moved and seconded to approve the regular board meeting of September 19th, 2023. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is correspondence and announcements.
I have one correspondence that I received from the Antrim County Administration Office. They have several committee vacancies, and they are looking for people to volunteer for any of these committees. You must be an Antrim County resident, and you must be registered to vote in Antrim County to be eligible for any of these positions. I'm sure if you go to the Antrim County website, you can see them all listed. That's antrimcounty.org. But they need Antrim Creek Natural Area Commission, 2 people. The Area Agency on Aging, 1. Commission on Aging Advisory Board, 2 people. Construction Code Board of Appeals, 2 people. E911 Board, 1 person. Farmland and Open Space Preservation Board, 2 people. Northern Lakes Economic Alliance Board of Directors, 2 people. Planning Commission, 1 person, and Veterans Affairs Committee, 1. If you'd like any more information about this, you can give me a call, or as I say, you can go online. That's a correspondence. Then just one announcement. I'm up to about 100 absentee ballot applications for the Central Lake School District's bond proposal on November 7th. So just a reminder, if you live in the Central Lake School District, you do have an election coming up in November. those that are in the Elk Rapids School District do not have anything at this time. And that is it for correspondence and announcements.
Great, Kath, thank you.
Mhm.
Next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. I would like to make one change. Sharon has requested that we add item 8, which is the contract for our snow removal and sanding. I put that item on your desk, so you'll have it when we get to it. Is there any discussion about that change or anything else on the agenda? All right, hearing none, I will make the motion that we accept the agenda with changes. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded that the agenda is accepted with changes. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is citizen comment. Prior to the first comment, Kathy, Jairus Rubinall asked me to speak for him. Ruben, I'm sorry. And he
Ruben.
wanted to know if anybody received the Public Safety Center postcard survey. Good, somebody, because it was sent to 25% of the township. So he was looking to see if anybody got it. And so at least we have a couple, so that's fine.
The township or the
Marcia got
county?
one?
Township or the county?
County.
Yeah, you said
County.
township.
Did I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, no, I asked if anybody in our township.
Right, but you said 25% of the township.
Okay.
Yeah.
Technicality.
Yeah, that's just me.
All right. Any other citizen comment?
So shall I call Mr. Under Sheriff Oak?
Undersheriff.
Isn't that his title now?
He's
What
a
is-
sheriff.
Oh, that's right. We nominated him. Well, I can't keep up with him. I can't keep up with him.
He is the sheriff.
The last time, were you the sheriff the last time you were here? Thank you.
He missed last month.
Well, the last time he was here. So, Sheriff. Yeah, but I didn't say your name right, did I?
No.
I'm so sorry.
We all have.
Yes, we have. Fantastic to be here. I really enjoyed coming up to Torch Lake. Obviously, our place is fantastic. But I got a couple announcements I want to make. You mentioned on the survey, Mr. Supervisor, and that's a fantastic question. The county has sent out 5,000 surveys for a public safety center in Bel Air. And what that entails is there's a lot of questions and answers. I just want to make sure that everybody understands what these questions and answers are. People say, why is it called a public safety building or center? Only 1/3 of the building is for inmates. The other 2/3 is for the sheriff's department, it's for detectives, it's for the administration, it's for a training center for the emergency services, EMS, fire department. Our building is over 7 years old. I don't know if you knew that. We have toilets right now in the jail that are not operable. It's for the current plumbing right now in our facility. Our current facility is another question people have asked. Well, why can't we just fix up what we have? We got $750,000 to $2 million just in plumbing. That's because the plumbing is underneath concrete, inside the concrete walls. So it makes it very difficult because they have no idea what they're going to get into when they get in. So that's the quote that we received in 2022. As we all know, building materials and quotes go up every year. And in reference to that, they have looked at up to $1 million for a millage, which this building is going to be about $30 million. A lot of money. So if you get those survey cards, if you can get them in, that's great. I know we're all extremely busy, and if we don't, we're trying to get 500 back. If we get 500 back, and they say, you know what, we just don't need this facility. we're gonna go back to the drawing board and probably gonna have to look at revamping what we had, but you got the state of Michigan that comes in, and they're gonna, I can guarantee they're gonna come in and go, it's not up to par. You got inmates that have to be in different cells, you got inmates that are sentenced, not sentenced, female, males that have to be in different cells. There's 16 different separations of inmates. So, any questions on it?
Yeah.
Can I ask, you said 750,000 to 2 million to take care of just the plumbing?
Yes, sir.
In your proposal, will it be at the same site or you have a different site in mind?
If you know where Grove Street is, that is in between the jail that we currently have right now and our squad.
Okay, I know where that is.
Grove Street goes perpendicular with our squad.
Okay,
We have gone to the village of Bel Air, and they have proposed to shut that down if everything goes the way that we're hoping.
Close that road. They're going to close the road.
And we're gonna go, the building's gonna be, basically where we're at right now, it's gonna be towards
the road,
the courthouse.
okay.
Because we even talked about, we had people say, well, what about a relocation? You gotta be close to the courtroom, it's safety of the officers and safety of the inmate. You don't wanna truck them, walk them across the parking lot. I mean, if you have a serious felon that you're trying to get to court, you don't wanna have him walking further than we have.
So the 1 million the county raises 30 million, and that'll cover what you need?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we're proposing. So. Any other questions? I would love to hear questions.
When were they expected to be back, Kevin?
Pardon me?
When were the cars expected to be back?
Well, it's been
Curiosity.
a month that they have been sent out. And like I said, there's 5,000 that were sent out. We're hoping to get at least 500. I believe the last number that I found was about 250.
Hmm.
25%. So, which makes sense right now. We're hoping, so,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll figure something out, but, it's just another Band-Aid, putting on another Band-Aid of a 7-year-old building.
What can the state demand of us to do for the county?
The state has come in, and even the MMRMA, which is our insurance, they have come in and said this building is a liability. It's a huge liability for the inmates and for the officers. What I mean by that is like the plumbing. I don't know if anybody saw 7 and 4 News. They came in, we got plumbing that is completely out of order. We have spots in this jail. I worked in jail when I first became employed with this agency. And when I worked midnights, there's a lot of hidden spaces. You get a deputy that goes in there, you got the key in your hand, you're carrying something else, you got the flashlight, you're walking into a blind area. I mean, yeah, you gotta be cautious, you gotta be careful. But it's just, it's very, very, very old building.
Is there money at the state? I hear, you read all this stuff about public safety and stuff. Any chance on the county getting any of that?
There is some fund balance that the county is going to assist, and part of that is about 10 to 20% that they're willing to help out, and from the fund balance to help out with this village.
Well, this is the county's fund balance.
Yes.
Okay, so, okay, all right.
So,
'Cause
and that, when you start getting into, like you said, Mr. Supervisor, in reference to assistance and all that, we have checked into federal grants. I went to Michigan Sheriff's Association, went to NSA. I talked to some individuals that all they did was build jails. They tell me there's nothing out there. I haven't found any federal grants to assist us on.
No,
I
no
know there's
federal
some
grants.
people out there that have said, hey, we got this grant, we got that grant. I haven't seen it.
Were there any funds left over from the ARPA money?
From where?
ARPA, the money that came?
They're
from-
putting it all in the
Oh,
building.
Talking about the COVID money?
Yeah,
They're putting that all in the
That's
building,
all in the county building. that they put it into.
the renovation there.
all right. Well, I'm out of ideas.
So, help.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But, another note, the township stats for Torch Lake,
Mhm,
this was for September.
mhm.
911 checks, we had 9. Alarms, we had 2. Car gear crashes, we had 2. Driving complaints, we had 2. Drunken disorderly, we had 1. General assist, we had 2. Larceny, we had 1. Malicious destruction of property, we had 1. Medical calls, we had 10. We had a mental health complaint, we had 1. 1 motorist assist. PPO violation, that's a personal protection order. We had 2 of those. Shots fired, we had 1. Suspicious person, we had 1. Traffic stops, we had 10 in the township. And wellness check, we had 3. We had a total of 71 complaints for September in Torch Lake Township. We talked before in reference our vision on patrol. Myself and my undersheriff here, we had an east and west patrol that we implemented, and it's working very, very well. We have a west side patrol unit, we have east side patrol units, we have sergeants that are basically their resources, they're bouncing back and forth, making sure that the road deputies have what they need. And any tips that you guys have that in the county or in the township that can assist us on any type of drug activity, we're open, completely open. So we also have teamed with, we're still with TNT, Traverse Narcotics team. We're trying to keep that communication open as well, but we're also joining forces with the JOLT team in Charlotte County. What that is, that's their own drug team. And we've had some really good responses with that. We welcome them in our county, and we welcome us in their county as well. So, as you know, there's a lot of opioids going on around the U.S. right now. We're not the only place that has the opioids. Everybody else around us is having the same problem that we are. We've had overdoses just like everyone else. I'm tired of people dying from their opioids. There's no reason for it if we can just get a big kick on it and try to get a handle on it. So,
Does the county have any relationships with the 2 school districts?
with the what?
2 school districts, Elk Rapids and Central Lake?
With the county?
Yeah.
He's the DARE
No, what I mean
program.
in terms of like a school officer
Oh,
or
yes.
something like that,
Yes, we
along
have
with the
a
local
officer.
people?
Yes, we have a DARE officer.
Okay.
That goes to all the schools in Elk Rapids and Central Lake and Bel Air.
Mansalona,
Elba, North Central Academy, he does all those schools.
Mansalona.
Okay.
Mansalona, thank you.
And that's an educational kind of program, counseling kind of
Yes, sir.
program? Okay.
Yes, sir. And there are some school resource officers at some of the villages that got a grant on. It's only a 3-year grant. Usually the villages are the ones that got those. Central Lake got one, and Elk Rapids got one.
Okay.
So, and they're Central Lake, I believe, is working on one right now. Elk Rapids has already started the school year this year. His name is John, great guy. He's doing a great job over there.
Good.
And of course, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to forget about you there, Undersheriff Lassiter. This is George Lassiter, he comes
Oh,
from
yes.
Charlotte County, he did work for us back in about 1993 years. He was a road deputy for us, and now he's retired out of Charlotte as a lieutenant admin, and he went to East Jordan as the police chief for about 2 years, and I picked him up, and here he is. He brings great experience and great knowledge.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you guys very much for your time, appreciate it.
Yep.
The only thing I can say, Sheriff, is promote VSU a little more too.
Yes, thank you.
We need volunteers desperately.
All right, other citizen comments?
Well, yes, we do.
Okay.
Denise Walker.
Do I give my name and address and all? Okay. Denise Walker, 5951 North M88 Central Lake. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Torch to Bay Trail Group. We are a group of Torch Lake Township residents that support the planning and development of an approximately 3-mile non-motorized trail in Torch Lake Township. As you might know, Torch Lake Township's trail is part of the Noquamus Trail System that will eventually connect the Tart Trail System from the south to the tip of the Mitt Trail System from the north. Over a year ago, the township endorsed our process of exploring the feasibility of having a piece of Nokomis Trail go through our township. This process included several open meetings, surveys, analysis with impressive community participation. We appreciate the township's endorsement. Our Torch to Bay group has worked side by side with the experts, always having our township master plan as our guide. The experience that our trail experts bring to the table have been invaluable, and they also have shown respect for our own needs and values, knowing that no two communities are exactly alike. The Planning Commission will be reviewing the master plan in the next coming months with a 20-year outcome in mind. This trail will provide ways to enjoy a rural way of life. It will connect us with one another. It will help, no matter what our age, to be more active. It will be a non-polluter for our air and water. It will be an equitable way for the Torch Lake Township residents as well as visitors to experience the magnificence of our township. Also, businesses that have trail access in other areas have consistently reported that business improves with trail access. To me, this is a win for our township, so I ask that the township be careful in consideration as we continue to commit ourselves to this Torch to Bay Trail in the months to come. And tonight, there will be an idea presented about using our parking lot here at the Township Hall for a trailhead. And I would like you to have an open mind about this. We have, as a group and as with our experts, we mull over all the different ideas, what's feasible, what makes sense. And so I just encourage you to have an open mind when more is presented on that topic.
What does that entail to have a trailhead parking lot area?
Well, I'm going to let them speak to that.
Okay.
But I guarantee you I will be back at other meetings because I'm 100% advocate for this. And so,
Okay.
All right, thank you. Next, Kath.
And then Kristen?
I wanted to ask, are you doing public comment later after?
Yes.
I'm going to save time for that, please.
All right, that's fine.
And that's it for right now then.
You want to fill out one beforehand?
Oops.
All right. All right. If there's none other, we will move on to the next item. We have the consent agenda. Anyone want to pull any of the reports? Hearing none.
Speak.
You were slow. You're getting like Alan now.
I would like to pull the clerk's report.
All right. Ellen, anything?
No.
All right. So if there's no other reports, all the others will be accepted by consent. Go ahead, Sharon, on the clerk's report.
The checklist that's on this report ends with 38738. We have checks that are not listed on here for 38739 through 38744 in the amount of $30,640.39. I don't see an addendum.
You're right, I totally forgot an addendum. What
Whether,
did I run, 10 more checks or so?
well,
after?
it's for $30,640. I think we should have a list. They're dated for the same as every the board meeting
Correct.
checks. And if we don't approve them, then they won't get mailed out or anything. So
Well,
Okay,
can we, in that case, can we do a special meeting later this week to pass the addendum so the checks can be processed? Is there any objection to that?
well, it's getting enough people here to vote on it.
Well, we just need a quorum. There's three of us usually in the office, and we'll see if Alan can fit it in his schedule. If we can do that, then I would move we approve the clerk's report as presented, and we would do the addendum at a special meeting this week so we can mail them out.
I apologize. That will work fine with me. Or I can get a list quickly tonight
Well,
if you want to take a 5-minute break, but
well, at this point, I think we have the report. We'll do a special meeting.
So I make a motion that we approve this clerk's report with checks up through 38738.
say
These are all vendor,
Or-
vendor checks?
Say it again, Sharon,
Yeah,
please.
okay.
The report as printed, not including checks that are missing from the agenda.
You gave a number.
Well,
three.
it's on here. It's on it's the last check that you've written on this report is 38738.
38738. Thank you.
Checks number 739 through 744 are not listed.
That's fine. Your motion is what again?
To approve it as prepared,
Okay, that's fine. I'll second that motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Alan?
I said aye.
I didn't hear you. Thank you.
All right. Next item is special reports. I will do the planning commission. The PC heard a presentation by a developer for a 42-unit condominium development at the area in the Barnes Park Road at the intersection there of M88 and 31. It was strictly a presentation. There was no action taken. I thought the questions by the planning commission were excellent, and to my knowledge, we haven't heard back from the developer. So I'm not sure. His next course of action would put a formal application in, and I'm not sure if that's forthcoming. They haven't said anything. In addition, they approved Chapter 6 of the ordinance rewrite. They're having a couple of special meetings, and that's at the bottom of the second page of the agenda. If you're interested in going to the planning commission, that'd be great. Kathy, FOIA reports?
Yes, FOIA. Remember that FOIA report that I had and I kept saying, and we're still working on it, we're still working on it, it's finished. And the requester was very pleased to have it finished as well. And then we had a second FOIA request come in that was withdrawn. And so I think that one is going to be resubmitted, but I have nothing on that one yet. So, no
Good.
FOIAs right now.
Excellent. All right. Financial overview. So I've indicated in the past, any questions regarding the financials can go to the clerk's office or to me. Our current month change in cash was principally reflecting the operating loss for September. As you remember, we have those losses until we get to December, so we've got a couple more to go. Favorability for the month was driven by lower road expenses, fire fund, and ambulance fund, while the general fund was unfavorable to both the budget and prior year, small dollars. Year to date, we were favorable to budget by $131,000, principally across the three, the general fund, the fire fund, ambulance fund. The negative number remains in the road fund, and that number will go up as we'll discuss later in the meeting regarding the expenses associated with the road repair. With that, I will turn it over to the TARC people for an update. I've requested that they stay within 10 minutes. I think they can do that. Folks, it's all yours.
Oh, boy.
you can pull it right out of the stand if you'd like.
They usually have the like bandanas, like Steven Tyler. Try to put this in between my eyes.
Good evening. It's Elizabeth Kelcutt with Tart Trails in Traverse City.
Hi, and I'm Brent Bolin with Top of Michigan Trails Council. We are based in Petoskey and cover Antrim County among 7 others. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's great to see you. It's been a little over a year. We came last summer before you to discuss schematic design and launching that. And so we started last end of 2022, and I've been working with the Torch to Bay Trail team that Denise referenced, and C2AE, the engineers based in Gaylord. They are working with us on the Nequema Trailway, engineering it from the southern terminus in Acme up to Charlevoix. And Torch Lake Township is one of our primary areas of focus at this time. So again, that's a schematic design. Last winter, we did an online survey, is how we started it, to help inform the goals and scope of schematic within the township. We had over 375 responses to that survey, which is fantastic. And there was a lot of excitement and a lot of great input on desired connections. And so those were largely focused around parks and water access and businesses. And that informed our southern and northern terminus. So Old Dixie down to Torch Village area with the Torch Bay Nature Preserve and Torch Lake Day Park. And since over the course of spring and summer, C2AE went through an engineering analysis and looked at a number of different factors related to topography and wetlands and driveway crossings, right-of-way, constructability, safety, and put in all these factors and came out with a couple of alignment options. Really, we've got the west side of US 31 and the east side of 31. And a little more specifically, that once you get to the M88 intersection, it all goes onto the west side to get up to Old Dixie. So I'm just going to keep talking, Brent. This summer in August, we had an open house. We had met with the trail team throughout this process and decided to take these options to the public and get input. We had a great turnout, over 50 people in August, and then followed up with an online survey and got around another 50 responses there. And while we would have loved it to be really cut and dry simple on which route, it was not so. But again, a lot of enthusiasm I heard, and still that continued interest in connecting to parks and the accessibility component. We, as far as concerns go, definitely focus on safe crossings of US 31, particularly in the M88 intersection, and then also around the southern terminus and use of Torch Bay Nature Preserve and Torch Lake Days Park, just those already seeing a lot of traffic, and how to both safely and sufficiently providing a trailhead. We have met with the trail team, I'm just going through the summary, in late September to review input, and based on the conversations there's an interest in looking at continuing south, expanding the scope to come to the Township Hall as a trailhead. The idea is to continue all the way south to connect with the TART trail system in Traverse City. So this would be just expanding a half mile beyond what we had decided really this spring based on the survey. So this is in response to all of the input we received this summer. And I'll let Brent fill in.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And we didn't really, it wasn't on our radar actually to consider bringing the trail all the way to this facility. But when it was suggested as part of the feedback process and discussions with committee members, it really made a lot of sense because you've got this wonderful building. It's like used a ton, I understand, by not just for your meetings, but people have events and stuff here. So it's a highly used facility. So we were like, oh, this really makes a lot of sense that this could be a good destination. You guys have a very big parking lot. We find that parking isn't really that big of an issue at trailheads. So I think Elizabeth was just telling me that the section of trail that starts at the Meyer, right, down in Acme, and goes all the way into Traverse City from there, that trailhead, they're only putting in like 10 spaces for that. So it's not a huge, like, nothing would have to change here, and it probably would not have any significant impact on usage of your parking lot here. But when you're building a trail, it has to go from someplace to someplace. So there has to be, the trail can't just end. So if it's not gonna, there has to be a trailhead. So if it's not gonna be, say, the day park, then, well, what's next? It's like, oh, well, it's only a half mile more to this public facility. And that could be a good spot for it. Because one thing we've said is, we're planning to build this all the way to Traverse, but if the rest of that never gets built, a trail from here up to Old Dixie Highway would be very useful for your community. And so that's one thing that's really nice about this trail segment is it's individually useful to your community, no matter what happens on either end of it. So it was just something Denise mentioned it. We thought it was a good idea. So we just want to kind of to update the board. Hey, we've been going through this process for the last year. Lots of public input and feedback. When we were here in August, this room was packed full, which was great. So people have been engaged. The feedback is overwhelmingly, people are interested in the trail. 60 some percent, 65% of people said they would bike to the trail, and another 22% said they would walk. So only about 12 or 13% of people said that they would drive to the trail. So I would say that this will probably end up getting cars off the road in your community. So instead of, having to drive a mile, people will now have another option for like, oh, I can just walk up to my friend's house or the store or whatever it is. So it could provide some nice options for the community to be able to not, deal with traffic and things like that. I can see her hovering. She wanted to say something.
Well, I think you did just cover those other points, but just as far as the other, where we had originally been looking, and by originally, just over the last several months as a terminus, we would still be providing connections. So everything that we had heard from the public about those desired connections would still be along the trail. As far as next steps, we would be spending the next month working with the engineers on just a continuation of looking at extending this half mile with the goal of by December being ready to present a complete schematic design with a proposed final alignment.
Does this trail, like the trail north of Charlevoix, that is, it's off the road?
Yes, so currently we are looking at a complete separated trail from US 31, where when we would look at connections to the parks, that includes Barnes and the preserve and the day park, that would be most likely shared road when we have a low volume roadway. However, US 31, our intent is for full separation, 10-foot paved asphalt trail.
What is, again, as I asked, what would be the trailhead look like here if you had it at this place?
Like, honestly, it could just be a sign that says, like, Torch to Bay Trail.
Do you need bathrooms? That's what's in my head.
No, actually, I don't think we do. Do we?
I mean, ideally, the use of your facilities when open. If after hours were a concern, in other trailheads, we have porta johns.
Yeah.
Other options to be explored, but often after hours.
Right. Our trail, our office is in like a visitor center right on M119. And two trails go right in front of our place. And we have a very nice porta john that's just in our driveway for people to use for the outside the hours that we're open. And that's, it's very, it's like, I don't know, $125. It's super cheap to do
So do you
that.
fund that through your own organization then?
Yes, yeah. So we fund that, through our own organization. We actually looked into what it would take to build a public facility, and like we could rent the porta john for like 300 years for what it would cost for us to build a facility. But people typically are, they just want to know like where does this start? So I think that because you do have this fairly big L-shaped parking lot, you could, just designate maybe like the very back row of spots, which I think is about maybe 12 spots. There could be signs like trail parking only here or something like that. And I highly doubt that they would ever be very full. So I don't think it would have a very big impact on this facility because it's already sort of designed to have the public come to it. And so, and another nice thing is because you have, your EMS next door, like there's always somebody around, so their job is not going to be to patrol your parking lot, but somebody's always here, right? Like on the premises. So that's a nice thing too for
Not
the
always.
trailhead. Well, right. Sometimes they go out, but you know what I mean? So,
How does that help you?
pardon me?
How does that help you to have somebody here?
Oh, well, just, like if you said, well, what happens if people leave their car overnight or something like that? It's like, there's eyes on the facility, I guess is what I'm saying.
So there would be cars that could be parked overnight.
No, that
No.
doesn't really happen, but no, but
We wouldn't want that. I don't
no,
think.
no, no. And you could put up signs that just say no overnight parking. Almost every park has that, but I just mean, if something unusual happened and you thought, oh, what happened here?
Perceived safety and what is actual safety measures.
I think that's a
Right.
good update for us.
Yeah,
And I
That's
would
good.
say get us sooner rather than later, at least some kind of drawing so that we can get a feel for it. The
Sure.
verbiage is great, but I think that would be, if you could get us something before your formal report, just to give us an idea, I'd appreciate that.
So this would be, I guess, based on tonight, allowing us to move forward with the engineer, expand that scope, so any drawing would actually include all the way to the township hall.
I'm assuming you're just going to do that on your own. You're not waiting for us to approve that, because
Well,
if you are, it's not tonight.
No,
Yeah,
we just
okay.
don't. I guess what Elizabeth is saying is like, we don't want you to be surprised when we come back in December and that's what's on it. Like, because if we want to present you the options, we want to present you the full set of options. So that's all we're saying, like, that'll be on there.
I'm just saying that rather than coming back in one meeting, asking us to take a vote, that you
Right.
come back maybe in November and give us a little more detail associated
gotcha.
with it.
That sounds great.
If you want action, then we need some time.
No
to
action
understand.
tonight, just an
No, I
update. And if
understand
you
that.
have concerns or questions though, we'd love to know them now so that we can
What
work
is
through
the,
those.
the times of day when most of them are parking or coming? Daytime, right?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, would be nighttime at all.
Nope.
And
And
it would be more of
weekends,
the,
you do
more of
see
the
week-
summer than the winter, obviously.
Actually, just based on our experience on some of our other trail systems, spring and fall are,
Okay, well, I'm
very
thinking of daylight
common.
hours and times is what
Mhm.
I'm thinking of.
yes.
So it's darker in the winter, obviously, and because we are in the process, we're going to have to upgrade all of our lighting system outside here for parking. So I'm thinking that in the back of my head also.
We're not planning to put lighting along the trail, so it's really when people would be comfortably using
Well,
it.
for here, parking, if you're using it any dark time hours, then
Right, but as far as trail users not using the
Yeah.
trail, then.
gotcha.
if
That's
it's
what
dark.
that's what I'm asking.
They're not going to park in the lighted parking lots, go down a dark trail.
Right. I'm just saying if they come back and it's
Right.
getting
right.
dark or,
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
I think
And-
that's a good start.
Yeah, I know you want us to sum up. So
Yep.
this is a process. We're still going through the process. This is just an update. There'll be more to come soon. So
Got it.
that's all.
Thank
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you. All right, board. Moving on to old business. We have no old business. And part of that is because we have no business that was a continuation from the last meeting. So people that are wondering why we don't have old business is we conduct all of our business. New business, we have 8 items now. Sharon, first item is yours.
thank you. We want to acknowledge our firefighters, and in that light, I would like to read something put together here. This is for the October 17th board meeting. The Township Board acknowledges at its October meeting, the week of October 8th through the 14th, 2023, as Fire Prevention Week. The National Fire Protection Association, the official sponsor of Fire Prevention Week for more than 100 years, is focusing on cooking safety as its theme for this year's observance. Quote unquote, cooking safety starts with you, a capital Y-O-U. Pay attention to fire prevention, unquote. is the theme for the 2023 Fire Prevention Week. The board, staff, employees, constituents of this community want to let our fire department team know that they are very much appreciated for their outstanding dedication and service they provide to our citizens. Proudly, our men and women who serve as firefighters are first class, and we all wish them continued safety and ongoing training, education for many years ahead. I'd like to list the members that are on our fire department team. The members consist of Kevin Lane, Fire Chief, Ted Schroeder, Assistant Chief, Alan Davidson, Captain, Greg Summerix and Ron Pulowski as lieutenants, Mike Velding, Bob Hawkins, Casey Lorenz, Wendy Davidson, Donovan Stone, Gavin Graves, and Jeff Dawson firefighters serve a round of applause.
Yeah.
We wanted to acknowledge and thank you all for the fire department. I have one little more piece of business here. If the fire chief can come up front here, please. A little basket of goodies was presented. And this is actually a proud mama on her son's first adventure of being on the fire team. Torch Lake Fire Department, thank you for countless hours you graciously give to learn, prepare, and be ready to show up when we have a call. Thank you for putting yourself out there in emergencies and times of danger when we need and help is needed. You save hearts and homes all over Torch Lake Township. In gratitude and respect, this is presented to your staff, your department.
Yay.
Sure.
Your staff.
You
your
do have an
department.
office with a door that locks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I see some M&Ms in there.
I
Well, I
was-
think they're pretzels and apples.
All right.
I was going to ask if the theme is cooking, does that mean the firefighters are available to come and cook for us? Because
No, you cook for them.
maybe not you, but maybe someone, anyone to help.
So did Mr. Bob, is this a motion to acknowledge everybody?
It's up to you if you want to make a motion.
Does the board want to recognize it as a motion or just as a recognition?
Alan?
A motion to recognize.
Okay, motion to acknowledge and recognize our volunteer fire department for services rendered to our township during the Fire Prevention Week. Motion made by Schultz,
Second, Cook?
vote, Alan,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jason's absent, Sharon, yes, and Bob.
Yes.
And that motion of acknowledgement to our fire department passes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks to the fire
Kevin, do
department.
we have any kind of plan for an open house at all in the future? Okay, because that was, for me, that was so much fun to watch the kids and the adults too at the last open house, I remember, so.
That was a chili cook-off.
I was thinking more, since all our residents leave in the fall, I was kind of targeting maybe sometime in the spring.
In the spring?
summer.
Sure.
That way that your grandchildren can also come and just see if we get a little bit more attendance
Yep.
during the open house.
Well, we got a couple firefighters out of the last one, I think, so, yeah.
All right. Move on to second item. Last board meeting, we approved Jeffrey Clark to fill the remaining time of Barbara Boudros on the Planning Commission. I would now like to request your approval to appoint Jeffrey Clark to a full 3-year term. Do I have a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion to appoint Jeffrey Clark to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term effective November 1st, 2023, expiring October 31st, 2026, has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that motion? If not, Kathy, roll call vote, please.
Okay, let me get to the right. All righty, and I'm sorry, that was made by Sharon?
Yes.
And seconded by Alan?
Yes.
Okay, so the vote, Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Jason being absent, Sharon,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
and myself, yes. This motion is approved 4-0.
Thank you, board. Let me know when you're ready, Ken.
Go ahead.
All right. Item number 3, I'm asking your approval to reappoint Laurel Carlton to a 3-year term on the Planning Commission. Laura has been a major contributor over the past 3 years, including her help in rewriting our zoning ordinance. Any questions on that? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I would like to make that.
All right, the motion has been made to appoint Laurel. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion and seconded to appoint Laurel Carlton to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term effective November 1st, 2023, expiring October 31st, 2026. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Kathy, a roll call vote, please.
Sure. Sharon?
Yes.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Bob?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Alan?
Yes.
And Jason absent. That motion passes 4-0.
All right. Item number 4, I would like your approval to renominate David Nussdorfer to a new 3-year term on the Zoning Board of Appeals. David was a part of the 2 decisions that went to the circuit court. Both of those decisions were upheld by the court. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. The motion to nominate David Nussdorfer to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term effective November 1st, 2023, expiring October 31st, 2026, has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Kathy, a roll call vote, please.
Sure. Sharon?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Alan?
Yes.
Jason absent. Once again, the motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, board. We have one more. Item number 5, I would like your approval to the renomination of Chad and Pellizzeri to a new 3-year term on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Chad was involved in one of the 2 decisions that went to the circuit court, both of which were upheld by the court. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion to nominate Chad and Pellizzeri to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term effective November 1, 2023, expiring October 31, 2026. I will second that motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Kathy, a roll call vote, please.
Sure. I get to go first. I say yes. Alan?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
And Bob?
Yes. Thank you, board. I think we have excellent planning commission members and ZBA members, and I appreciate their hard work. The ZBA had a couple tough cases this year, so. Item number 6. As I indicated at our last meeting, I was going to get a proposal to conduct necessary maintenance work on the boat launch, and that I would provide that to you. That is in your package. You have the contract. I spoke with Gregory Needham of the 45th Parallel to modify the original contract that you had originally in the first package, and I've added at your desk a revised copy. And so therefore, there were 3 additional sections that you can see in the pictures that I included. We originally were looking at the 3 furthest from the shore, and we got a nice calm day, and we took a clearer picture of the next 3, and they also were moved. I spoke to Greg. He said, hey, based on the original, most of that cost, of course, is the equipment moved to get here and to do the work. So he increased his rate to $25,000 to do the full 6, and that's what you have now in your package, the revised agreement with him. We would have that work done before the end of this year. I would suspect it'll be late October, early November, after most of the commercial guys are done with their work. I mentioned at the last meeting that we have $57,000 in the general fund balance that was to be used for maintenance in the
47.
future. I'm sorry?
47?
57. In fact, that only includes, I think, the last 2 or 3 years. I think we originally, I was a trustee at the time in 2018 that we started saying that the fees that we collected would be used for the boat launch. So I haven't gone back to get the exact number, but we have plenty of money to take care of this maintenance. So is there any questions or discussion? Yes.
You probably can't answer this, and I'm shooting by the hip on this one, but is there any type of his proposal here of longevity of his work?
No, I think if, based on currents and wave action and ice, they can't guarantee anything.
Okay,
Nobody
I knew
else
that
would
was
either.
probably the
Yeah, no,
answer.
He's got that in the original contract, I think. I included the email in your package. If not, the email would have had that information on it.
Okay, because I know the last job we did by Mr. Dick Ellison was the same type of thing. And that, I think it lasted about 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good return investment for the same type of a thing. Are we committing ourselves to having it done by December 20th, the end of the month, end of the year? Or is there going to be enough time for him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because most of the work, he's only going to have to put one guy in the water, and they'll put a dry suit on him. They'll bring a small crane of some sort, and that will do all the lifting. What they will do is they will pull the sections out, and the guy in the water will do all the necessary gravel work, and then they will replace them and anchor them in.
Okay, I'm not an engineer or anything, so bear with me
Neither am I.
here. So is it better to do in the fall or the spring? With the
Makes no
wave
difference.
action doesn't matter?
Makes no
Okay,
difference.
okay.
If
I had
we
a-
don't get any ice, it'll have, it's susceptible to the northeast winds.
I know waters can be a mother nature beast sometimes, so I understand that.
Alan, any questions?
I don't remember if these were attached to each other.
They're not.
They're not
They're sections.
in sections, so they are, okay. That's why,
And-
I'm looking at the one that moved and I said, what broke? Okay,
Nothing broke. And, they've got 2 hooks on them. That's how they're going to lift them out.
okay, thank you.
So this would come out of,
It comes out of the park. If you'll remember in our budget, we put 45,000.
I wrote it down here. Yeah, fund number 101-756-975-010.
That's the park.
Improvements, okay.
It's in the capital improvements.
I got it.
We budgeted 45,000.
I looked the number up, so I've got that in case Kathy needs it. And it does say 50% down and remainder at completion.
Yep. So we'll work on that. We can get that for the special meeting. If you want to put the check request in for that, for the 50%. All right. Do I have a motion?
So
I'll
I'll move.
All right, thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
If you want to read it.
I will. It's motion to approve the proposal by 45th Parallel Marine, Inc. for maintenance work on the Torch Lake Township boat launch per the proposal as modified on October 13th, 2023 for $25,000 to be completed prior to December 2023. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Kathy, a roll call vote.
Yep. Excuse me, Bob,
Yes.
myself, yes, Alan,
Yes,
and Sharon.
Yes.
Thank you, board.
Passes 4-0.
This is probably a little past the time, but they do have insurance and everything for liability. Okay.
Yes.
I had that in my notes here, sorry.
They're the ones that did the work, I believe, on Elk Rapids, on their boat launch. All right, next item. Road ends, our favorite subject recently. I promised I would get an estimate. We went to Dean Furter. The contract is on your desk, his proposal. He's looking at a cost of $18,000. You know, we've kind of had a limited number of people bringing that up lately, and nothing has been done for a time period of at least Bob Spencer, because most of these sites are pretty well overgrown. So the question is it worth doing now, or do we postpone it until the spring and put it in next year's budget? I'm open to the board for discussion. Alan?
Well, again, the only concern I have is that the road ends get beat up, and often by the people that use them and people on either side of them. On Lake Michigan, I don't even know if we have any of our property that's not in the water from the high water times. And if they're important, I mean, the water access is very important, and they're only for ingress and egress. They're not for beach activities. And you can move your boat in and out, and that kind of thing. That's state law. And the markers that get put there have got, in my mind, have got to be very, very stable, strong, because people pull them out and move them. And they move them and so they can plant some trees along the side of their house, so they're not looking at all the people that are using the road end, kind of thing. I mean, I've seen that in a number of places. So I don't know. I think you have to do it at some point. I don't know if you have to do it now.
Okay.
But at some point, there's a lot of road ends that we have that people could use if they were properly marked. We might even think of a road end ordinance at some point with regard to time use kind of thing, in terms of the hours of use.
I kind of think there's, in the original proposal, I'd have to go back and look at the, I think there is an ordinance. I think it was associated with the park at one time. It was a
Okay.
park and road ends.
There is some kind of ordinance, but I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you what it
And
says.
it did have hours and what you could and couldn't do. It was very similar to the same thing that we have at the nature preserve. So, again, we can do it now. I mean, I think we've got money in our funds to do it, or we put it off to next year and get it done in the spring before the leaves come out, and get, at the same time, get the work to clear out the underbrush and things to make them accessible. Do it at once. And we'll put in the budget accordingly.
Seems like it makes more sense to wait till the spring, and while nothing has grown back up again, that it would be easier to get in and easier to then get control of the growth and
All right,
maintain it a little more easily.
all right, Sharon?
Well, I contacted a couple of supervisors prior to this board here, and the people that would have took care of them and maintained them and mowed them, and they have no recollection of mowing all 18 of the sites at all. And so I think my opinion is let's wait until the ground is in the spring, and otherwise you've got fallen leaves all over where we're now, and do a little more research. We can do a little more research on the ordinance or whatever that needs to be done too, just to bring ourselves up to date.
All right.
Would our proposals stay the same, do we think?
I would suspect that it would probably be the same amount. I
The
think
dollars, yeah.
As he put in the estimate, it was up to 18,000, so it could have been less.
Not to exceed.
Not
Yeah,
to
not to
exceed.
exceed. So, You know,
I mean,
there's some small sites that might not take a lot of work.
No.
But, you know, I mean, the critical ones would be the nature preserve, the boat launch, Third Avenue, Kruger.
Third Street, yeah.
Those are the four. Kruger is paddle entrance, emergency outlet, if you will. So, all right, well then we'll just, I'll just not do anything on this. We'll bring it up in the spring.
We'll talk about it at the budget time.
Yeah, we'll do it in March when we do the annual meeting as well. All right?
Yep.
Then moving on to the next item, we approved number 8, which is the approval. You have that contract on your desk. Sharon, you want to discuss this one?
Draughts have done our snow removal in many years prior, and anytime we make a phone call to them, if emergency or anything, they're right here. So I would like to make a motion that we continue with Draught Excavating, Inc. for our snow removal as the proposal, as proposed.
As proposed.
I would second that.
All right. So the motion to approve the contract from Drought Excavation for snow removal and sanding as proposed is moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Kathy, would you do a roll call vote, please?
I will. You didn't put a sheet in though, did you? Okay. Alan,
Yes,
Robert,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes,
and myself, yes. So that motion is approved 4-0.
and I'll contact them.
Okay, great. All right, moving on to board discussion. We are continuing the dialogue between the county and our township. The county went into closed session at their last meeting on October 6th, I believe it was, to discuss this situation. They came out and made a motion to have the administrator continue with the dialogue in the township. There was no discussion in their meeting regarding it. And I did then ultimately get a email from Jeremy Scott regarding this. I have put together a response that Todd and I have reviewed, and I will be sending that off to Jeremy tomorrow. At this particular juncture, I've continued to try to make sure that communications are open and that a lawsuit is the last resort. The estimate of going to circuit court is roughly $10,000. But it's very important that we uphold our ordinances and that the county needs to be held accountable for their actions at Barnes Park. So I will have further update at the next meeting, or if I don't get a positive response from my reply to Jeremy, then you'll get a different type email and we'll go forward with the legal action.
I hope they understand that we don't have any room to move either legally.
Well, their position is that they'll make any determination as to whether or not they need to come to us. It's kind of their call, and it really isn't their
Oh, that
call.
was that thing about they don't have to follow our rules, okay?
Kind
Well,
of a cat and
they
mouse.
kind of get to decide, and I keep asking them. The attorneys have said there are specific circumstances, and there's case law associated with that, but nobody's given me that case law to at least look at. But my feeling at this point is we've made a couple of proposals to them, and they kind of haven't accepted them. So I'm going back to them and giving them a couple more options, and if they reject it, then I'll call Todd. So I'll keep you informed on that. The second item, I've been waiting to hear officially that we're not going to get any funds from the state for our fire truck tanker and a second ambulance. That official word has come to me. We will not get any funds, but I've spoken to both our state representative and I saw our state senator. And I've requested that they work towards getting us funds. There's supposed to be another distribution in March, which happens to be an election year. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll see some money come in for that. We had, if you remember, we had $1 million that John Roth put forward, 950,000 roughly. It was 400 for the tankers, 350,000 for the ambulance, or 300 and 250 for the park. We're not going to need it for the park. We're going to fix the boat launch ourselves. So hopefully a lower number will get some dollars for it. The third item, briefly, we had a meeting with our state rep, John Roth, to go over what the changes are. Board, we are now equally responsible for the results of the clerk's action and executing the election. So we need to make sure we get active in it. And if you have time to help, Kathy, do you need anything from us at this point for the election that you're having in November?
No, my biggest, that concern issue was whether I could use the conference room for the 9 days previous and,
She said November.
For this November?
oh, November, no, November's fine,
Yeah, so the new
Sorry.
law takes effect next year,
February.
and it relates to all township, county, and federal and state elections. So it does not impact the school elections if they do a separate election.
If they have just their issue on the
Right.
ballot, correct.
So,
Under the new law, what would require more of our participation?
well, it's now expanded to 9 days, and you have to have.
So we have to have people here?
Have to have at least two, right? Or
Three.
three people for those 9 days, covering the open hours.
We don't deal with that till next year.
Till
Right.
February.
Right.
Okay.
So it's just something to put on your radar screen that we want to make sure Kathy gets all the support she needs.
Yep, thank you.
All right? That takes care of that section. Information only. I handed out a new sheet of expenses. I have not gotten an update on Barnes Road, but at this particular juncture, Old Mission Estate came in over estimate. The Lower Road came in on estimate, and that Stone Circle came in under the estimate, and Birch thinks it will be the final number for Barnes will also be below that. On your sheet that I gave you, the budget is there on the far right-hand side, the numbers that we had. Under actual costs, the ones in yellow are the ones that I've been told to date. And as soon as I hear from Bert, we'll know if we basically broke even. Thank you, Sheriff, for coming tonight. No, that's fine. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So hopefully we're on budget. Thank you. In essence, for the road work. I have given them the road work for next year. I think there's 13 or 14 roads, which we will be, and it's on your page here, that are chip and seal. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 roads. About 296,000. He thinks that because there's a lot of chip and seal work that we might be able to get below that cost, but with costs going up, I'm not holding my breath on that number. If we can keep it at 296, we'll be fine. Our budget for taxes for next year at 1% mill should be about 325,000. So that takes care of that. The other item is Torchport Airport. As an update, Tim Bays came in to meet with Sarah and Jackie and myself. with regards to his plans for the airport. He is planning on moving forward with a home design that will meet all of our zoning requirements, a 20 by 20 footprint and 960 square feet. And it will have included in there an attachment that will house an airplane. He has a number of R1 sites that he can use. I can't remember the exact number. I thought it was like in the 15, 16 range, but I'm kind of guessing at that. In addition, he is going to shorten the east-west runway. And at the same time, he is making the necessary applications to blacktop it. I know for sure that the FAA has to approve it. As to whether or not we have other approvals, either from soil and erosion because of the runoff associated with it and the groundwork, and whether or not the Michigan State, I think there's a Michigan State Airport Act that I'm not sure if they get involved in blacktopping or not. But that amount, he has gone out to the association for funding of that. And so the residents or the owners of the various parcels there have been notified of that additional cost that will be used. He's also going to do a split rail fence down Bay Colony Road, and is going to put in gardens on the inside of that fence all the way down. He wants to plant it with natural vegetation and enhance the view of the airport. So I wanted the board to know, I wanted the community to know that these things are in effect. I have contacted our lawyers down in Grand Rapids. I had a few dollars left over to make sure that there aren't any other permits or requirements that the township should be aware of. They're experts in this field. They're supposed to get back to me in the next day or two. And if there's any action that the township needs to take, then I'll make sure we take the appropriate action. Otherwise, it seems he's working within the framework of our ordinances.
So does he need like an updated site plan then?
I don't think he needs a site plan because it's a runway currently, so it's just
It's public.
blacktopping an existing runway.
Okay, all right.
And the thing is, if you think about it, it improves the safety of the people that are landing there. When I went up in that paramotor, it is not the smoothest plane to get up. So I think he's taken the appropriate action. He's communicated with the township, and I appreciate that. That concludes the items that I have on the agenda.
May I add one more, or should I do it in the public board comment?
Board comment, please.
Okay, thank you.
Citizen comment. Any citizen comment?
Kristen?
Can you guys hear me okay? Is it on?
Get real close.
Can you hear me now? Okay. My name is Kristen Graves, and I live at 1377 Bayview Drive. I am here tonight talking to you, the Torch Lake Township Board members. Collectively, you are the voice of our township. You guide, shape, protect, and grow our homes, our hamlet, our village for not only us, but for future generations to come. The Nakawanima Trail will be a main artery flowing and curving through our township. It will provide opportunities for health, wellness, and connectivity. This trail belongs to and for our township. This is an opportunity to show who we are and what we are. We are up north, a quiet place surrounded by beautiful water on both sides. We're where wildlife roams, milkweed grows wild, where dark skies highlight the northern lights, where one can be amongst the pines and hear snow falling. This bike path is coming and it will be built. The trailhead can be as grand as a gateway, or it can be as simple as a small sign. I implore you not to overthink the little details, but to take charge. I ask that you sit in the driver's seat, or in this case, the bike rider's seat. You need to set the tone for our generation and allow it to start at this building.
Thank you.
All I have to say.
Thank you. All right, board. Any board comments? Sharon?
Yes. Some months ago, I took action with, I helped with MTA, looking at the state. The state had all these funds for public safety for the fire departments. We took a while, Ted and I worked together on it, and we completed our application on a grant through the state. We were approved for award of $10,000 towards, I'll just read this. The Michigan Fire Equipment Grant has been established to provide funding for the purchase of the fire equipment for our part-time, on-call, or volunteer firefighters under the state's fiscal year 2022-23 budget, Section 801. The Michigan Department of Treasury was appropriated $12 million to establish and operate a grant program to qualified local units of government to assist fire departments. Grant awards are not to exceed $10,000 for qualified local governments. Upon review of the Torch Lake Township, Michigan Fire Equipment Grant application, Torch Lake Township has been approved for a grant award under the Michigan Fire Equipment Grant Program as listed below. Listed below, it says approved award, $10,000. Grant awardness that have already been submitted, supporting documents are eligible for reviewed or reimbursement. Now, we haven't seen the money yet. It's not in my hand, but we have been approved. And at a couple of the chapter meetings that I went to last night at Kalkaska, they were all excited when they got their money too. And I know many of them locally, Milton and so forth in Antrim County also got their awards of $10,000. So it was well worth our adventure doing that. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Thank you
Very
to
good.
Sharon and
Theodore?
Yeah, that was
Kevin?
when MTA first got this from the state of Michigan, and MTA forwarded it on to me, knowing that we have a fire department here and that I'm very active with working with them. So they had me critique all the grant application list and everything. So everything I submitted that I would see changes and everything got submitted, and they reworked it. And so I had a heads up. So my heads up has paid off.
good. And I got the email, so
Well, I had to go through you. They wouldn't let it all go through me.
well, I didn't want to exactly say that. Kat, board comment.
I just want to assure the audience and the board that I am up to the elections coming up in 2024. It's going to be a challenge because there are so many new aspects of that election. As an example, having to have open voting 9 days before the actual election, and other things. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. So
All right.
just want you to not worry.
It is parked in your spot and we're sharing it with you.
Good.
Alan?
No, I have no comment.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And I'm fine. So I'll make the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I have a second at 8:27.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, folks, for coming out.